Footballtribeug channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's good to be back, and yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys on such a beautiful weekend, on such a beautiful Saturday. It's been a bit of a rainy one around Kampala and the nearby areas, but we went through unscathed. That's all I can say. And like I said, it's a pleasure to be back. Thank you to all those that were part of our broadcast in the morning. It was really, really beautiful to have you on that broadcast. So, yeah. And tonight we will be speaking more transfers. We'll be speaking more football, predominantly transfers. That's where we hope our conversation will revolve around. Perhaps if amongst a few other things, if need be, some results from the pre-season friendly against Tottenham were in action today. Arsenal were in action today. Manchester United were in action today. Sunderland, I think Sunderland are in action actually as we speak against Sevilla. In that game, I think Sunderland are leading that game by a goal to nil as we speak. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what that result will be at the end of that game. Okay, okay. Oh, all right. Anyways, so we'll be talking about some of those results and perhaps a little more, in regards to the friendlies that have happened today, those that are happening, those that are ongoing, those that among those that are ongoing, Valencia are in action, Athletic Bilbao are in action, Braga are in action against Celta Vigo, Sunderland, like I said, are in action against Sevilla. So, anyways, allow me test our audience before we get into the thick of the conversation today. And the reason as to why you may not see some friendly matches on your schedule or on your results list is because some of them are behind closed door friendlies. They are not as part of the official calendars for those respective teams, so they may not pop up on your results list. So particularly the game for Arsenal against Watford, we hardly know what really transpired. Some sources have indicated Arsenal won the game by 3-0. Other sources have indicated that they won it by 2-0. And because it wasn't an official, club-friendly game, it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. We really don't know much about what really went on. But a lot of clubs have, been engaged in multiple fixtures. I know for a fact Celtic beat up against Newcastle, I think by 4-0, and things of that nature really. But let's just wait and see. Let's wait and see. In regards, maybe some of you as you join us on this path, you'll be able to give us some of, those results as they may have happened in regards to some of your favorite clubs, but the preseason friendlies. Otherwise, it's really, really good to be back. Special shout outs to every single one of you that was part of that morning podcast. It was a pleasure to have you on. For those of you that don't know, even on Saturday, we are always here for a morning broadcast as well as an evening broadcast. So we will continue to engage on different fronts and on different topics. Then things are continuing to drag on in the deal for Victor Yokeres. Then Alexander Isak, being omitted in that starting lineup or in that team against Newcastle's team against Celtic, and the manager facing the media. Then we had Arsenal release their pre-season traveling squad without Noni Madueke, of course, who is still on having his summer break, having been part of that Chelsea squad for the FIFA Club World Cup. Then also, again, negotiations, like I said, negotiations between Arsenal and Sporting are, uh, are still stalling over minor details. Different sources may cite different figures in regards to what is stalling the move. And then Galatasaray are pushing for a Manchester City goalkeeper. So we'll be speaking about that and more in tonight's broadcast. I'm just waiting for you guys to join the broadcast, and then we will get in the conversation or into the thick of it. But plenty of news are making the rounds in regards to transfers and things of that nature, including a key topic tonight involving a Manchester United forward in Marcus Rashford. So just waiting for you guys to join the broadcast, and we see where the journey leads for tonight in tonight's broadcast. I know some of you are out partying, preparing for Sunday. The faithful ones and things of that nature, really. But anyways, we will start as we wait for the others to join us in due course. Manchester United and Barcelona have been entangled in negotiations almost throughout the entire day over a potential deal for Marcus Rashford, and that deal is close to a full agreement for the player before the player is given the green light to travel to Spain to undergo his medicals in the next coming days before joining as a Barcelona player. Now, the proposal is an initial loan with an option to buy. I do not know whether it will be an obligation to buy, but as of now, what we know is that it will be an option to buy. Now, usually, here is the difference. An obligation to buy is that similar to what Chelsea had in their deal with Jadon Sancho. They had an obligation to buy, but they also had an exit clause out of that obligation. And that's how the player ended up going back to Man United, and Chelsea paid £5 million as penalty. Then when you have an option to buy, you can either exercise that option or choose not to take up that offer. For example, AC Milan had an option to buy Kyle Walker at the end of his half-season, loan for Man City, but they opted out of that. They did not take up that option. Sevilla had an option to buy Albert Sambi from Arsenal after he spent a season with them on loan, but they did not, take Arsenal up on that option. While while in some cases you have the obligation that the other club must buy. So things of that nature really. So in this case, Barcelona through third-party intermediaries, they sent out their offer to Manchester United and started negotiations, which really progressed really fast and well today. They have already spoken to the player in Marcus Rashford. They spoke with his camp, and the player, like we've reported almost Osama, he's very open. He's excited with the prospect of joining Barcelona. He even spoke about it in an interview on YouTube. I do not remember with what channel, but he said he relishes, the prospect of playing alongside players like Lamine Yamal, Robert Lewandowski, and so many other, Rafinha and etc. So then, he said it would be a dream move for him, albeit he's a Man United player. So I do not know where that puts him in Man United's legendary status when he goes out to put out such comments. But nonetheless, it is a dream move for him. It's one he's had to wait for really patiently because Barcelona had other priority targets. He was sort of second fiddle to all those primary targets, even though Anderson, that's the Barcelona sporting director, followed him since March. Since January, because they initially wanted to take him up in January on loan, but they wanted to sign him in January, but a deal could not be done at that time. That's how he ended up at Aston Villa on loan for the second half part of the season, and yeah. So, anyways, it looks like they are now farming up that interest. But again, it comes at, like I said, he has always been second fiddle to their primary targets. Initially, Barcelona wanted to sign Nico Williams. That deal could not go through because apparently Nico Williams wasn't convinced, or his camp weren't convinced that Barcelona could register him on time to play in La Liga. So he ended up signing a new contract or renewing his contract to the tune of 8 years and a total of 10 years at Athletic Bilbao. That's until June 2035 with an increased release clause totaling about 95 to 100 million euros. Then two, Barcelona switched their options or moved on to better options, and they considered Luis Diaz. Now, with Luis Diaz, they reached out to Liverpool. Liverpool told them the player is not for sale. While they were willing to come back in, still weighing their options, Bayern Munich made the approach to Liverpool. Initially, Bayern Munich were turned down. They were told the player is not for sale. When they came back with an opening bid in the excess of 65 million pounds. So, sorry, in the excess of 65 million euros, not pounds. So that initial bid was turned down. And at that point, I think Barcelona made the assessment that if Bayern Munich have had a proposal or a bid in worth 67.5 million euros rejected, then probably it's going to cost more to sign the 28-year-old Colombian international from Liverpool. And yet we do not have those financial resources to go ahead and sign the player. So that deal too expensive for them, and they decided to walk away from it and then return to their second best alternative, the opportunity cost in Marcus Rashford. Like I said, he's a player they do appreciate. They had already held in preliminary talks back in, I think, in early June with the players' camp. He did express the desire to join, his willingness to take a pay cut and things of that nature. And according to multiple reports, although not yet fully confirmed from the highest of sources, but at least initial reports indicate that he has agreed to take a pay cut, and Barcelona will take 100% of his wages. And those reports do indicate that he is going to receive 10 million euros as gross pay per season or per annum, with bonuses included. So let's wait and see where the final figures will land. But so far, that's what we are receiving on our news desk in regards to what kind of structure or contractual deal would be for the 27-year-old England forward. I think this is very, very exciting for him, for all people that do wish him well, given the adversaries he's faced in the last two seasons. Remember, on the backdrop of the 2022-2023 campaign, that was arguably his best season in the Manchester United jersey. He scored, about 30 goals across all competitions. Ten Hag was in his first season. Then it was handed that long-term contract, put him on high wages, and then subsequently it did not work out perfectly. Last season, but 2022-2023 did go really well for him. Same goes for last season, which was 2024-2025. And of course, that's how he ended up, being sent out on loan, because things were not happening for him at Man United. So, but when you look at, he's been one of the main characters or protagonists in Manchester United jersey for nearly a decade. Because remember, his debut campaign was in 2015-2016. For those of you that do remember, I think they were playing in the Europa League when he scored a brace against Midtjylland, and then he came in a weekend game and scored, I think that was around November or December 2016, and he scored against Arsenal. He scored a brace. Louis van Gaal was still in charge of Manchester United. That young side, the likes of Daley Blind, Marcos Rojo, I think those kinds of players, David De Gea in goal, of course, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, I think Juan Manuel Mata, was he already at Man United? Not too sure, but at least those youngsters were in the composition of that Manchester United team. And in that season, he played 11 games, scored 5 goals, and provided 2 assists. And the subsequent season, things didn't happen for him really, but he played 32 games, scored 5, and provided 1 assist. Then so he went on sort of improving from there on. And then 2019-2020 was one of his best seasons in the Manchester United campaign. As far as the Premier League is concerned, possibly that was his best campaign. 2019 at 2020, because in 31 appearances, he scored 17 goals and provided 7 assists. That's a 24 goal involvement. Ahmad Septa, hello, my brother. Good to have you once again on the channel. It's a pleasure to always have you back. So, then of course, Man United went through it's going through a series of managerial changes during the course of that period. Luis van Gaal, you have Jose Mourinho, you have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In between there, you have Ralf Rangnick. You also have the Ryan Giggs as an interim, but that was the pre-David Moyes era. Then also, fast forward, like I said, Jose Mourinho, and then Erik ten Hag, and then you have Ruud van Nistelrooy, and then you have Ruben Amorim. So, really, also when you look back at that first campaign of Erik ten Hag, it's 3 a.m. in the morning here. Wow. Thank you so much for sparing a minute to be with us, even when it's in the wee hours on your end. It's always a pleasure. No wonder you're better suited for our morning broadcasts than for the night broadcasts. But thank you so much, Septa. Yeah. So in that debut campaign for Erik ten Hag, he scored against 17 goals and provided 5 assists in the Premier League alone. So that was a goal involvement of 22, so which was quite impressive. So overall, and then the subsequent season, like I said, he only scored 7 goals. It was underwhelming. 7 goals in 33 games plus 2 assists. That's the season during which many Man United fans were questioning Erik ten Hag, why does he keep playing him when he's out of form and things of that nature. The last season, in 15 Premier League appearances, he only scored 4 goals and provided 1 assist before he went out on loan to Aston Villa and things like that. So progressively, things have not been at the very best. But also, he did have a wonderful campaign for the 2020-2021 campaign, because he scored 11 goals and provided 9 assists. That's a 20-goal involvement. So during his career at Manchester United, he's had at least 3 seasons where he's had a 20-plus goal involvement. So that's 2019, 2020, 2021, and then 2022, 2023. So, and which begs the question, where will he rank in terms of United's history? Because he's been part of a kind of squad that won, of course, the FA Cup in 2016, that won the Carabao Cup in 2017, as well as the UEFA Europa League under Jose Mourinho. Then and things of that nature. Then also part of winning the Carabao Cup under Erik ten Hag and the FA Cup under the same manager. So, but then also they did lose, of course, the 2021 UEFA Europa League final, and they also lost the 2022 FA Cup final. They lost to Man City, and then of course, most recently he was away when Man United lost to Spurs in the UEFA Europa League final. So basically, that's the Marcus Rashford. There is a very decent player in there. I've seen lots of messages from well wishers wishing him well. They want him to post a 30-goal involvement across a campaign to show all his naysayers that maybe he's not that bad a player, that maybe he was the scapegoat in a bad United side and things of that nature. So, but that's a win. That's a win. So we do expect this deal to be wrapped up, and maybe during the course of the weekend, for him to be given the green light to travel to Spain to undergo his medical. But at the time of this broadcast, that go ahead had not yet arrived from Man United. Maybe the situation can change during the course of this broadcast, or even after this broadcast. So you never know how things may progress. Sometimes they really happen at bullet speed. But according to David Austin of The Athletic, he said Barcelona set to pay whole Marcus Rashford salary as part of proposed transfer for Manchester United. Impending loan plus option to buy includes 100% wage cover by FC Barcelona, as all parties work to finalize deal for the 27-year-old Manchester United attacker. So that's everything to do with Marcus Rashford. Then quickly, Um, Newcastle's omission of Alexander Isak from today's friendly against Celtic, which they lost by 4 goals to 0, has raised questions about the future of Alexander Isak. We all know that Liverpool are interested in signing the player. There's also interest from Saudi Pro League clubs that are willing to pay crazy transfer fees to land his services. So there have been some, I would consider them vague reports because I've not seen them with more credible sources. I'm not saying that there's no a grain of salt, that they're not worth the paper they are printed on, but I'm saying it's the transfer window. It comes with gossip and speculation. So do not take it for gospel truth, at least at this stage, that the player will be open to a move to the Saudi Pro League. Uh, you know, and also that he's apparently told Newcastle that he some reports have indicated that he's not happy with Newcastle because they were not willing to listen to offers from Liverpool and things of that nature. But so Ed Howe did confirm Alexander Isak was omitted from Newcastle's, loss to Celtic due to speculation over his future, adding he believes that the Swedish striker won't be sold. So here's what Ed Howe had to say. It was my decision to leave out Isak. I decided to send him home due to all the speculation around him. The last thing he wanted was to be sat in the stands watching. That wasn't fair to him, but I'm confident he will be at Newcastle United. He will be a Newcastle United player come the end of this window. Liverpool still intend to move if given the encouragement, whether now or in the future windows. So that's according to Ben Jacobs. That's what he adds on. But those were the comments from Ed Howe, the Newcastle manager. Meanwhile, speaking of Liverpool, Liverpool are advancing in talks with Eintracht Frankfurt over Hugo Ekitike. Although their initial asking price tag was 100 million euros, I told you that they were willing to negotiate for a lower, transfer fee for the 23-year-old French forward. And according to reports, Liverpool's initial bid was in the excess of 60 million euros. Sorry, in the excess of 76 million euros. But other sources did indicate it was in the excess of 80 million euros. Now, it is believed that Liverpool are going back in with an improved offer, as they continue negotiations, especially when they are discussing potential add-ons. And that offer could eclipse 80 million euros to 90 million euros mark. And this is according to Ben Jacobs of TalkSport and Guinea Sport as well. He says Liverpool have now improved their offer for Hugo Ekitike. Talks ongoing over add-ons with total package now around 90 million euros. Richard Hughes and Marcus Crouch hoping to strike a deal this weekend or early next week. All parties are confident. So there you have it. That's according to Ben Jacobs, quoting Sam C Reports. Sam C Reports is an independent football journalist. So there you have it. For Liverpool fans, I know Mariam Nalmansi, one of our usual suspects, a very ardent Liverpool fan. Then we have LFC, we have Amlen Okoyo, who we've not seen, by the way, in a bit. But that's the situation regarding negotiations between Eintracht Frankfurt and Liverpool for Hugo Ekitike. Remember, they've already agreed to personal terms in principle over a 6-year contract. Then let's move on to Manchester City and Galatasaray. Now, as Galatasaray wrap up a deal for Victor Osimhen from Napoli, they are also they've entered talks with Manchester City over goalkeeper Ederson Morales. Remember, at the start, during the course of this transfer window, they were linked with the potential move for Alisson Becker, who declined a move to Turkey. Then they were linked with the potential move to Marc-Andre ter Stegen, that's the Barcelona captain and German goalkeeper. And now it looks like they are moving on from all those possibilities to Ederson Morales. Now remember, Manchester City are willing to move on one of their goalkeepers, of either Ederson Morales or Stefan Ortega. And because then that will create space for them to buy back what's his name? The Burnley goalkeeper, James Trafford, yes, for them to buy back James Trafford in a deal worth £40 million at the time when Newcastle are seeming reluctant to pay over £35 million for the 22-year-old England goalkeeper. So, and this is according to Bochi. He says yes. He says Galatasaray open talks with Man City. Goalkeeper Ederson convinced him about the project, and he's open to joining. Galatasaray are willing to match Man City's wages, but the transfer fee has to be subsidized. He is the second goalkeeper Galatasaray spoke to this season. First was Petrovic. They also had negotiations about, George Petrovic from Chelsea, but they could not come to an agreement with Chelsea over a transfer fee. Remember, he has since joined FC Bournemouth for £25 million. That's George Petrovic. So the plan is to accelerate talks really soon. No guarantees, no agreement yet, but we will wait and see. But like I told you, Man City are willing to let go of one of Stefan Ortega or Ederson Morales so that they can resign back James Trafford for Burnley. Then quickly away from Galatasaray and Man City, let's take the flight to Arsenal, because Arsenal are sleeping on the job. I do not know if that is a worthy statement or a just statement to use on Arsenal's negotiations for Victor Gyökeres. Now, we spoke about this deal, I think, in the morning at great length, when I told you that negotiations were still undergoing between Sporting Lisbon and Arsenal. Neither side wants to budge to the other's demands, and and the sticking point at this stage has everything to do with add-ons. Otherwise, everything is stalling because of add-ons. And how much are the add-ons? According to multiple sources, the add-ons are at just 2.5 million euros that they are haggling over, while some sources may indicate 5 million euros. So depending. But I would say most credible sources put it at 2.5 million euros. Now, here's the situation, and again, between Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon, everything else is agreed. Arsenal and the player agreed to a 5-year contract in principle. When it comes to Sporting and Arsenal, they've agreed the majority of the structure of the deal. But the sticking point, apparently, from what we are hearing, is around 2.5 million euros in add-ons. And remember, the total add-ons are worth 10 million euros. And Sporting Lisbon want those as easily achievable as sleeping on a rainy day. So while Arsenal are saying, let's put on some rubber boots and not just slip into these add-ons, So they want maybe tougher conditions for some add-ons to be achieved, while Sporting Lisbon want it all easily achievable. Hi, Bruno. Good to have you back on the broadcast with us once again. So they say the Lions want a full 10. The Lions, that Sporting Lisbon, want a full 10 million in objectives to be easily achievable. Arsenal are willing to go up to the maximum of 7.5 easily achievable objectives, while some sources may indicate just 5. So basically, the two at loggerheads or at a deadlock because of those add-ons. RRR is asking, how am I? I'm good. How about you? RRR continuously. Then greetings to you, Bruno. I hope you're doing well. Kindly like the broadcast, please, guys. But if you're new here, kindly also consider subscribing to the channel. Anyways, so that's the situation between Arsenal, Sporting, and on the deal for Victor Gyökeres. The hope still remains that a deal can be struck during this weekend. But let's wait and see what will come out of London, because the players' representatives and Sporting Lisbon's representatives are remaining in London, are trying to find a solution to this. But like I told you in the morning also, is Sporting Lisbon are trying to be stubborn as you have a negotiator who basically knows you've gone too far in that you wouldn't want to lose this deal, and they have nothing to lose on the other end at this stage, or even though they have something to lose, but it's maybe not as big compared to you in that kind of sense. So, given how the whole deal has transpired, Sporting Lisbon president coming out, with statements, the threats of, penalizing Victor Yokeres because he refused to return for pre-season, how he still has 3 years left to his contract and things of that nature, are things that, let's say the situation was sort of blown out of proportion, so much to the distaste over Sporting Lisbon and their fans, and things like that. But my hope remains that a solution will be found soon or later. Anyways, away from the Victor Yokeres, chronicles and shenanigans, here's Arsenal's, they've released their traveling squad for the Asian tour. Like I said, Noni Madueke is not part of it because he had been part of Chelsea's, group for the FIFA Club World Cup, so he's enjoying a summer off or his holidays, with Chelsea players, same with Real Madrid players, same with PSG players, and all those other teams that had, players at advanced stages when their seasons had already concluded. So then also the other key noticeable omission from the squad is Christian Mosquera, and we did get reports that there was difficulties in his paperwork, and that's why a deal he's not going to be part of the squad initially. Initially, this is what we got from the hand of Arsenal. He said there is a delay in the Christian Mosquera paperwork. The details won't be discussed. And these boundaries should be respected. There is still time for him to make the expected squad between 5 to 6 p.m. Asia tour flight. If there is an announcement, you know the drill. That's what he said. And then he came back a couple of hours later to say, I'm told with confidence, the documentation is being prepared for the signature of Christian Mosquera. As stated, these things should always be handled with dignity and honor. That's according to the hand of Arsenal. On X, he's been one of those very, very reliable figures when it comes to reporting about Arsenal this pre-season or during the course of this transfer window. So very, very, very good updates are there from him regarding Christian Mosquera. But like I was saying, anyways, like I was saying, this is Arsenal's traveling squad for the Asian tour. Remember, they've headed to Singapore where they will play 2 games against AC Milan and against Newcastle. And then the other game, they will have to travel out of Singapore to go to Hong Kong, where they will play Tottenham Hotspurs in the next coming week, fortnight. So the goalkeepers are David Raya, Kepa Arrizabalaga, Tommy Setford, and Alexia Rogers. And then defenders are William Saliba, Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes, Warren Timber, Jakub Kivio, Alexander Zichenko, Ricardo Carafiori, Miles Lewis Kelly, Josh Nichols. It's not Josh Nicholas, it's Josh Nicholas. Murray Salmon, those are the defenders. Our midfielders include the captain, Martin Odegaard, Christian Nogard, a new recruit, Mikel Merino, Albert Sambilokonga, Martin Zubimendi, and incoming Declan Rice and Louis Copley. Then the forwards include Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, Leandro Trossard, Ethan Naneli, Wes Nelson, Kai Havertz, Ismail Kabia, Max Dowman, Andre Harriman Anos. So that's, I don't know, is it just me, but I feel the squad is short. Of course, it is without, it's without Gabriel Jesus. He's still recovering. For those of you that you must have seen videos or pictures of him continuing with his rehabilitation with his personal fitness coach, that undergoing, gym drills. He's had a kick of the ball, not on the grass, but in the gym, trying to juggle the ball here and there. He hopes to return soon. So that one is there. Of course, like I said, Noni Madueke is still on holiday. Then similar situation, kinda, with Fabio Vieira. So let's wait and see whether they will be back on time for the Emirates Cup, during which Arsenal will play Villarreal and Athletic Bilbao. That's in August. So, but basically, that's the gist of it. Then Pierre Aubameyang to Olympique Marseille is an agreed deal. He will sign a contract until June 2027. So that means it's a 2-year deal, and everything has been agreed. Remember, he did part ways with with Al Qadash in the Saudi Pro League after a very successful season where he scored 21 goals. I think provided 4 assists in 36 appearances. So he does return to Europe. Very, very impressive there for the former Arsenal captain. Then also, I've told you the situation that about Manchester City with James Trafford, but then yesterday but one, we are receiving reports that some Saudi Pro League clubs are willing to offer up to 350 million euros for Vinicius Junior. Should Real Madrid, want to let him go? But we will continue to assess those situations as time goes by. But for now, that's how things stand with Marcus Rashford. What then more speculation we are getting is that Eintracht Frankfurt have confirmed to Liverpool that their intention is to accept the 90 million euro package, but we will wait, for more sources to clarify on that. But like I said, negotiations do continue and things are really, really advancing well for Liverpool. Then Al Hilal are the Saudi Pro League side that are interested in, Alexander Isak. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see on that point. But anyways, before we wrap up tonight's session, let's get to look at the latest from the rumor mill, from the transfer gossip, and things of that nature. When I pause for a second, I be confirming some, information that is just coming through from my sources. I want to clarify it before I give it to you, so that we do not just jump on every piece of, gossip and, speculation that there is out there. Anyways, we've spoken about Galatasaray's pursuit for the Manchester City goalkeeper Edson Morales and Man City's intention to buy back James Trafford amid his interest from Newcastle. The Netherlands and RB Leipzig midfielder Xavi Simons favors a move to the Premier League. We spoke about that with both Chelsea and Arsenal monitoring this situation. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal and Chelsea both in June inquired about the conditions for Xavi Simons, who only permanently joined RB Leipzig in January. So that could be an expensive one. And something tells me that Arsenal could make a dash for him, especially after reports did indicate that they may have pulled down their interest in Rodrigo Goes. And by the way, speaking of Rodrigo Goes, today there have been multiple reports making the ones that apparently Barcelona have reached out to Rodrigo Goes' camp to say that they will be willing to sign him should his decision be that he wants to leave Real Madrid. Let's wait and see. Then Colombia and Liverpool winger Luis Diaz, 28, has told the club that he wants to join Bayern Munich. Liverpool rejected an approach earlier this week from Bayern Munich. That first bid we spoke about when we were speaking about Marcus Rashford's situation. The expectation is that Bayern Munich will return with an improved offer for the 28-year-old Colombian international. Then Barcelona, AC Milan, Al Hilal, and Al Nassr are all interested, apparently, in signing Uruguayan forward Darwin Núñez. That's according to Court Offside, while Juventus are considering the swap deal for Manchester United and Denmark striker Rasmus Højlund in exchange for 27-year-old Brazil midfielder Douglas Luiz. Now, Everton and I think West Ham are among Premier League teams that are interested in signing Douglas Luiz from Juventus. Then Jose Mourinho is interested in signing Manchester United and England forward Marcus Rashford. That was according to T24, but like I told you, take those speculations with a pinch of salt, but given what has transpired today, that won't be happening. Then also Sunderland did agree a deal with South Solo worth £17.5 million to sign 26-year-old French winger Amand Laurenti. That's according to Sky Sports. While English Ifan Waneli signed his new 5-year contract with Arsenal. We are waiting for an official announcement on that. Then also, we know that Arsenal accidentally uploaded that Christian Mosquera, photo when he was doing his media duties. Then Tottenham made an inquiry about Bournemouth's Ukraine defender Ilya Zabani. The 22-year-old has been a summer target for PSG. Even though they did agree to personal terms in principle, PSG are yet to agree, to a transfer fee with AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth have been one of the other stubborn negotiators in as far as this transfer window is concerned for some of their players. Then Ipswich Town are expecting an improved offer from Brentford for 21-year-old England forward Omari Hudson. That's according to Sky Sports. While Brentford are interested in Celtic and Japanese striker Daizen Maeda at 27, given the fact that Yohan Wissa is linked with a potential move to Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspurs. So let's wait and see. Then Norwich are close to selling USA striker Josh Sargent, 25 to VfB Wolfsburg. That's for £21 million. Then we told you in the morning that Galatasaray and Napoli were finalizing a deal worth €75 million for the transfer of the 26-year-old Nigerian forward to return to Galatasaray, where he spent last season on loan from Napoli, had a 37-goal contribution in 42 games across all competitions, and he scored 26 goals and provided 5 assists in 29 league games there. So impressive numbers he was able to post there in Victor Osimhen. And the two parties were still haggling over sell-on clauses, and Galatasaray have agreed not to. They won't be allowed to sell Victor Osimhen back to any Italian club for the next 2 years. So that means that if he goes, he can only return to Italy and after 2027. So possibly by that time he will be what? 29, approaching 30. So let's wait and see. Then Gabriel Jesus has remained in London while the rest of the Arsenal squad travel for the Asia pre-season tour as he continues a recovery from his knee surgery. Remember, he suffered that anterior cruciate ligament injury, which needed surgery. Man City are expecting Galatasaray's opening bid very soon for Ederson Moraes. So again, we'll keep tabs on that situation as well. Let's wait and see how things will go in the coming days regarding that. Then also, anyways, I think that's the gist of yes, I promised to tell you about Manchester United's pre-season friendly with Leeds United. It ended in a goalless draw, a couple of missed chances on either side, but Manchester, I felt like Manchester United were not different from the Manchester United we watched last season. Of course, so many changes. I'd hoped that Ruben Amorim was going to start with his preferred core starting 11 to try and test out this new system, and we see how it works, and we see how it is improved over the last 1 week or so of training and things like that. But I felt I did not see that. Of course, frustration for Rasmus Højlund. At one point, I think he was asking for a quicker ball from Diego Dalot. He did not come on time. The Leeds goalkeeper was forced into a couple of saves here and there. But at the end of the day, Patrick Bergu had an opportunity, blazed wide. LFC says, I'm back. Robert, good to have you back, LFC. It's a pleasure to have you. We've just been speaking about your Liverpool side on how they are close to reaching an agreement with Eintracht Frankfurt for Hugo Ekitike, but also Newcastle's omission of Alexander in their friendly game against Celtic that they lost by 4 goals to 0 has sort of raised a couple of questions in certain circles on whether the player is trying to ask to leave the Magpies, but according to Ed Howe, he does reiterate that the player was only excused because he's been subject to plenty of transfer speculation, and he did want him be seated in the stands out there to make his situation a bit awkward. So I believe that we won't get Isak. At least I think there's certain level of consensus amongst the Liverpool fan base and those within the power ranks of Liverpool that maybe Isak won't happen this this transfer window. However, according to Ben Jacobs, apparently Liverpool want to remain informed if that situation changes, whether in this transfer window or in the coming transfer windows. So they will remain open to signing him, even if it means maybe to be in January or next summer or sometime after that. But you never know. Situations do change. But we will get Hugo Ekitike. That's the expectation. That's the expectation. Apparently, that offer could rise up to 90 million euros. That's the expectation for now. But let's wait and see. The hope is that Liverpool can reach an agreement during the course of the weekend or sometime next week before things do happen. Okay. Anyways, that's then of course, like I said, some of those other teams have been engaged in pre-season friendlies. Sunderland and Sevilla. That game is ongoing. It kicked off at 10 p.m. It's still 1-0 in favor of Sunderland. Braga 2-1 up against Celta Vigo. I know for a fact that Tottenham were in action today. I do not know what the final result was. LFC, if you know about that result, kindly help me with it. But I know I did see, yes, Tottenham were in action against Reading. They won that game by 2-0. I saw a clip of, I did not watch the game, I must be honest, but I saw a clip of Muhammad Kudus showing his athleticism on that right wing. So they had Vuskovic among the goal scorers, and Lancashire, those were the goal scorers for Tottenham Hotspurs. So yeah, Tottenham beat up against Reading by 2-0 in the in that pre-season friendly. Then there's another Premier League team that were in action today. I'm forgetting. There's so many pre-season friendlies that are ongoing. Leicester City were in action. Ipswich Town beat up against BW Lindsay by 4-1. FC Basel shared the spoils in a 3-all draw with Villarreal, Eintracht Frankfurt, and FSV Frankfurt. Frankfurt won that one by 3-2. It was Newcastle Celtic. Yes, Newcastle were beaten 4-0, but also Tottenham beat up against Reading by 2-0 today. So those are some of the results. Like I said, it's so many friendlies that are happening, during this time and period. And remember, some of the friendlies that may happen may not be part of the official calendar, like that of Arsenal against Watford. That's why I told you guys that I'm not, up to now, I'm not 100% sure about what the actual result was. Some sources say it was a 3-0 victory for Arsenal. Others say it was a 2-0 victory. That game was played at London Colony. I'm so excited for the Premier League. You're excited about the Premier League to start. I think we do share the same sentiments when it comes to people that are football fanatics or fans that are football fanatics. I mean, for some reason, sometimes, as much as we want these players to get ample rest, we are also eager to see them in the next piece of action. So, so you are a Ghana. I do support Arsenal. Yes, I've publicly admitted that. But I do not want to so much to be put in that box, because for me, I love football comes first, and then my allegiances to any team whatsoever then follows next. That's the hierarchy. I do not want things to get up mixed. So, but I do share that kind of sentiment that for football fanatics like you and I, and all the rest out there, while we want these players to have the ample rest, I mean, look at our situation every time there's during the course of the season, and then players are summoned for international, engagements. Sometimes it's friendlies, UEFA Nations League, Africa Cup Nations qualifiers, FIFA World Cup qualifiers, and any other competition that it could be. I mean, we can't. Those 2 weeks tend to feel like it's forever, and yet it's one weekend of iteration of missed football, and then we get back to those respective clubs that we do pay allegiances to. But I sort of understand. Goodbye, Robert. Goodbye, LFC. M4X, thank you so much for sparing the time to be with us. And thank you, LFC. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you. Is it quadruple R plus? Ahmed Septa, thank you so much for being part of tonight's broadcast. It was a pleasure having you guys. For those of you that liked the broadcast, for those of you that did not like the broadcast but were part of it, I do appreciate you a great deal. It's been a pleasure doing this with you tonight as well. Have yourselves a blessed night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.